Welcome to episode 22 of the Chamber Members Podcast. Today's guests are Sheryl Falcone and Molly Little with NAMI Stark County.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Sean Hetrick, SBS Consulting Systems. We're just so excited to be the sponsor for this podcast. NAMI is such a great organization and the things that they do. It's excited to hear about everything they do and kind of how they help. And one thing with SBS Consulting Systems is we help people with their QuickBooks and reporting off of that. A lot of times people have their QuickBooks and they've kind of just used it for years and years. We can really come in and optimize that and really get you reporting and even automate processes within that, within your invoicing, within your payables, to really help your business grow. Again, Sean Hetrick, SBS Consulting Systems.
Sheryl, Molly, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
I know we have a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. You guys do a lot for the community. Would you mind telling us a little bit about NAMI's mission and what services they provide the community?
Sure. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and we are dedicated to helping and improving lives of those people and families that are impacted by mental health conditions. Okay. We do that through advocacy, awareness, education, and support.
Awesome.
Nice. Are there, so I guess there are classes that are available through NAMI. You want to explain that a little bit more?
We offer classes for parents and caregivers. We also have a class for family members, and we also have a class for adults with mental health conditions. And all our classes are free of charge. We do also offer a stipend to take the class.
Oh, that's great. To be in that class and to have that support there probably helps so much when people going through it because they feel like they're by themselves going through it, and having that support is just great.
It really does. It's good because we all have a lived experience, whether we have a mental illness ourselves or our family members, or oftentimes both.
Yeah. Excellent.
So how do the support groups work that you guys do?
The support groups we offer are also online through Zoom, and we do have some in person. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to register for the classes.
Okay.
And I just went blank.
No, that's all good. That's great. Yeah, it's like I was just saying a second ago, support groups are just so important because I've known so many people that have went through different types of those episodes, and it just, without having someone to say, hey, I've been through it too, it's you're blind and you're kind of by yourself. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and we try to make sure that our support groups, like I said, by doing them in person and online, if folks are more comfortable, that they don't have to be on camera, so there's some anonymity there. And so those are, again, free of charge. There is no registration. You can go to our Facebook or www.namistarkcounty.org and find all of our classes and support groups.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, that's great. Making it easy for people to make that first step, for sure.
Yeah.
So how does NAMI help individuals navigate the healthcare system? 'Cause I know it's a big part of it.
Yeah, it can be really challenging, and people are diagnosed at different points in life. So some of us are children or were diagnosed when we're younger. Some of us, myself included, weren't diagnosed until I was in my 30s with ADD, ADHD. So what we do is help folks just navigate the vast amount of services that there are in Stark and some of our surrounding counties. So they can call us. We can let them know what counseling services are available, what medication services are available, and some of the differences between those things. So some providers just provide medication services. Some providers have classes or inpatient services. And so we just kind of help advocate and make people aware of what their options are for mental health care.
It's really nice because it's, like you said, it's vast. There's a lot of options, and if you're just talking to one person that does one thing, they're not necessarily going to tell you another, what the other solutions are. So it's nice having like a little hub that you can get some,
absolutely. And everybody needs
feedback.
Everybody needs a different level of service. So some folks just, they want therapy, or some folks need just medication management, that they're not in talk therapy anymore and they just need someone, to manage their long-term outcomes through medication. And so we can help that along the way.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Nice. Could you give us some insight on how many people are affected by mental illness?
So it's growing. 1 in every 5 adults reports having an issue with mental illness, and suicide, unfortunately, is the number 2 cause of death in young people.
Wow.
And so mental health impacts all of us. And so chances are, you talk about 1 in 5 people, most people have 3 to 4 people in their family. So chances are you or someone you love has a mental illness or mental health concern. And that's why NAMI's here to support everybody. We support the families. We support, maybe one child is diagnosed and others aren't. And so it can really affect the entire culture of the family. And so we just try to make sure that we support not just the peer or the person with the mental health concern, but, the families, helping them through schools with IEPs. Yep. Just making sure we address it, because like I said, about 20 to 25% of people will be impacted directly. And most of us know or love someone who has a mental illness.
Right.
I know you guys do crisis intervention training. What does that entail, and what's the goal of that?
So I love our crisis intervention training. We call it CIT. And so we work with Stark County Sheriff's Office, Canton PD, and we train their officers in mental health techniques.
Okay.
So when they're responding to a crisis, they're able to intervene with things that aren't necessarily judicial, right? So maybe they can help talk the family through. They can call some of the crisis resources that we have in the county, and essentially just kind of help de-escalate, especially if somebody's going through psychosis. Usually after a traumatic event, our officers really put themselves in harm's way when, the houses are on fire, or people are sick, or there's violence. And so just kind of helping those officers to think about maybe some mental health concerns that might be adding to that situation, so that they can hopefully keep some of our mental health peers out of the criminal justice system, and just kind of make sure that crisis doesn't escalate with their
It probably helps them
presence.
find an additional avenue to deal with those type of situations too, to, like you said, de-escalation and things of that nature, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it helps. I mean, we've talked to the officers, and it kind of helps them in general with interpersonal skills. But the other thing is, it's just a good mental health 101. I mean, our officers are going to see all types of folks in our community. And so the nice thing about CIT is that it's a great program for our officers. And then, like I said, I always have my little, we pass these out. So if family members, you can put this on your door. You can put this on your car, so that if an officer in Stark County sees you, they know that someone in there has a mental illness or may be triggered by the lights or the presence of the officers. And so when our officers see this logo, they know that someone in that house or in that vehicle may need a special CIT officer.
That's a great thing.
Yeah,
right there.
I love this. Yeah, I love this guy.
Are there certain things that people should look out for, when you're dealing with family members or friends or those type of things, that you can kind of see, hey, maybe there is something, maybe, I need to give them a card for NAMI to talk to?
That's a great question. We know our family and friends, and especially since COVID, we see each other a lot, right? Especially our close-knit group. And so if you see somebody withdrawing, maybe they're not doing the things that they used to. Maybe they notice more irritable for a long time. Maybe their eating habits, or they're wearing sweatsuits and stuff when they used to be a 3-piece suit kind of person. So just noticing changes in habits, and just being able to have that conversation with somebody, be like, hey, are you okay? Well, you can always reach out to these resources if you need it, and just making sure, you are kind of aware of some of the mental health systems. But yeah, usually just those changes in behaviors are the first things that we see: irritability, mood changes, either diet or appetite changes. Those are usually the first things.
Sleep changes?
Sleep
Okay.
changes. Either sleeping too much or not enough.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then just talking to them and saying,
Yeah.
really asking them if they're okay, and kind of seeing
Yep.
if they need assistance. Perfect.
So at what point did people normally seek treatment? Is it when it's really affecting their work life, or is it affecting their relationships? Kind of what do you see when people come in that pushes them?
So what we know, just statistically, is that people wait about 6 months, and that's with the most. So the more resources a person has, the sooner they get care. So if you're insured, if you're in a higher income demographic, if you have an higher education level, those folks usually get help first. But even the most successful, or the people who get treated earliest are about 6 months.
Wow.
So most people wait about 6 months to get treated, and then most people wait another 6 to 8 months sometimes before they actually go through with a medication or a therapy. So and then it extends. If you don't have insurance, if you're a single parent, the more barriers there are to care, the longer you wait for diagnosis and treatment. So in lower socioeconomic families, it can be as much as 2 years before, and especially if you're the caregiving adult, it can be a couple years before you seek treatment.
Oh. So, I'm going to read this so I get this right.
That's okay.
NAMI Stark County is the Ohio Affiliate of the Year. Specifically for you, work at Heartland Behavioral Hospital and growing the youth movement in Stark County. What makes NAMI Stark County's programs unique?
I think that we, first of all, our NAMI here in Stark County is very well supported. We have great support from the Chamber, from Starkmar, and other agencies who work with us and help to get our programming out. The other thing is we work at Heartland Behavioral, so we have an office in the behavioral hospital there to support families and clients alike. And then we have our Youth Move Stark County, which has started within the last couple of years specifically to talk about, as we talked about before, suicide being the second leading cause of death in people under 30. So our Youth Move Stark County focuses on 11 to 30. There's different support groups and activities for different age groups. And then my work is with the Alzheimer's community. We have someone who works specifically with the rare disease community. So NAMI Stark County works very hard to make sure that we think about mental health, how it really impacts people. Because yes, sometimes folks get diagnosed with depression or schizophrenia when they're young and they get treated and they go through the system. But a lot of times, maybe you're diagnosed with something else, a chronic illness, and you get depression or something as a result of that, or the loss of a loved one or some kind of trauma. So we try to make sure that we're not just in the mental health providers. We're, at Starkmar, we're in Stark Parks, we go to the schools, we work with Queer and Can, we work with Conquest, we work with Coleman and other providers to make sure that no matter where mental health impacts you, NAMI Stark County tries to be there in some way just so you can reach out and know that you're not alone.
That's great.
That's wonderful. That's a great resource we have.
Yeah.
So I know running a nonprofit takes a lot of support. Are there any Canton Chamber members that you'd like to give a shout out to?
I just have to say, for an individual member, John Allensworth is just, everyone knows John. John knows everyone. And so for me, I moved here from Cincinnati right during COVID, because timing is everything, right? And so John was a wonderful introduction to the community. SBS has always been a wonderful support to us. And so, Starkmar and those agencies. And then the other thing is the Hall of Fame. They have offered us space to come and do classes and things like that. So we are so grateful. And the other one I want to give a shout out to is Tony from the Cookie Divas. She always makes us our great little themed cookies for our events. So from John to the Hall to Alt Care, it's just a really great organization to be a part of. And what I love about the Chamber is they're super supportive of mental health for all employees. So it doesn't matter if you're working for a turf building company or you're working for NAMI, like mental health and healthcare is important and the work-life balance is important to the Chamber. So we're grateful for them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Molly, Sheryl, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming on, give us some insight on mental illness and the great resources you guys provide and get people connected to where they need to be. So that's really amazing.
I love those little cards too that have all the support numbers on it. It's so great and so easy to hand out.
And I always want to give my plug. Of course, if you're in a crisis and you need emergency services, always call 911. If you're having a mental health crisis and you need somebody to talk to, you can dial 988 from any landline or cell phone and be connected to a mental health counselor who can de-escalate suicidal and crisis situations. So
988?
Yep, 988 is the number to call. Yep, and then like I said, you can go to www.namistarkcounty.org for all of our events, classes, support groups. Our golf outing is coming up in August, so we got lots of fun stuff going on.
We have our walk in October.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Always busy, always out and about. So
it's great.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Before we go, just want to mention, make sure you visit cantonchamber.org and take a look at all the events they have coming up. We have chamber meetings all the time. We have lunches. We got breakfasts, quick connects. It's really great to branch out, meet new people, network a little bit, but also just get to know other people in the community and learn what other businesses do. You get to introduce yourself to awesome nonprofits like NAMI that really support our community with mental health issues and junior achievement, different things like that. Really gives you something to get connected with the community.
It's very diverse, the people that are there.
I love it. It's one of my favorite things. The Alt Quick Connect lunches and brunches are a great way to meet just about everybody in your community. It's a wonderful organization. We love the chamber. Yeah.
Well, that's a wrap for our show. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you.